That's how they named it, because they're broadcasting it out into different areas. Right? You see some falling here, you see some in the back, you see some over on this side, some in the middle. So what they're trying to do is spread that food out. So there's about 800 fish swimming around in here. So we need to spread it out because they feed about 20 to 25 pounds of food in that broadcast feed, and 20 or 25 pounds of food in one spot, and 800 fish all trying to get some of that food. Not a good idea. Some of our fish may end up losing some fins over that. So we try to spread it all out so everybody gets a chance to get some of that food. And they also kind of get the fish spread out in the exhibit. It allows them to kind of target the sharks a little easier, because when they feed the sharks, they do it a little differently. They call it a target feed. They have some big shark feeding poles upstairs. And at the end of those poles, there's 2 wires, and they stick fish on those wires. And they have a log book that they can keep track of every fish. The husbandry staff upstairs can take a look at these sharks, even though there's 3 species. Some of them are the same size, so they look for different markings on the fish. And sometimes it's just the size. As you can take notice, our sand tiger sharks, we have a big one, we have a kind of a big one, and then we have a not so big of a one swimming around in here. So they have different sizes that they can use for that one. So what they do is they put that food on the end of the pole and they stick it in front of the species of shark they're trying to feed and that particular fish that they're trying to feed. So if you'll take notice here in the middle, you'll be watching for the sand tigers to be feeding here. In this area here, you're going to be watching for the sand bars to be feeding there. And down at the other corner, you'll be watching for the nurse sharks to be feeding down there. Yes? Is that ship real? No, this actually made out of fiberglass. This is just a model of what's out there now. We also, as you can see, the Goliath grouper is up here in this corner. The Goliath grouper swimming right there in that corner. And you see the fish hanging out of its mouth. That is also a species that we target feed. And we also have one other species that hopefully you'll get to see. And those are the green moray eels. We have one that's about 4.5 feet, and we have one that's about 6 feet in length. If they come out, you can't miss them. They're bright green in color. And usually they hang out at this end of the exhibit. So keep your eyes open down in this area. Hey, never mind, they just made a liar out of me. Here comes one of the green morays. This is the smaller of the 2, coming down here, or swimming up to the surface. Hopefully, we'll get a good shot of it swimming towards this way. But back to the shark feeding, they keep everything in a log book, so they can kind of go back after an extended period of time. They can go back and say, all right, well, we tried for the last 3 weeks to feed some menhaden, and none of those sharks were eating menhaden, so maybe they'll try some mullet next time, or mackerel. Something to kind of change it up and to try to get those sharks to eat. We do feed twice a week here, and in the wild, sharks may only eat once every 2 or 3 weeks. So some people may wonder, well, how comes the sharks just don't eat the fish in here? The answer to that, they're kind of lazy. They don't want to expend the energy chasing after when they know when it's time for them to eat, it's going to be placed right in front of their mouth. So, in the wild, they may only eat once every 2 or 3 weeks. So that kind of keeps everything to a minimum. There's nothing really stopping the sharks from eating any of these fish, and it has happened from time to time. but we try to feed them and keep them fed well enough to keep that to a minimum. Yes? What do the sharks eat? Well, they get fed frozen fish here. Everything is frozen. And the sharks are going to, usually they'll get fed mullet, mackerel, menhaden, and sometimes they throw some grouper in there or some snapper. But everything is frozen. There is no live food in there. The broadcast feed that you saw, sometimes they'll soak it in a vitamin solution because during the freezing process, those squid, shrimp, and fish tend to lose some of the nutritional value that they have. So they'll soak it in a vitamin solution, and then they'll throw it out for the fish to eat. And also, this shark feed has a dual purpose. Other than just feeding it, it also allows our husbandry staff to get the vitamins to the sharks. They stick it inside the fish, and then they feed the fish to the shark, eating its food, and it's also taking its vitamins at the same time. Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
What's the difference between the sand tiger and the regular sand tiger?
The regular tiger and the sand tiger? Size and attitude. They do look pretty similar in appearance, but the tigers are a lot more aggressive. And that's why we chose to not have this. We have tigers that come in twice a day, every day, so every species of shark that's in here right now is a very docile, kind of calm shark. So up there is the big moray, just came back down.
What is that big silverfish that keeps going by here? It's a bright...
The tarpon right up here in the middle?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep, that's a tarpon.
Okay.
Yep, those are pretty popular sport fish around here. They get to be pretty big. The record was just caught last year, 195 pounds. So they get to be pretty big, but they give a pretty good fight as well. They do a lot of jumping and splashing around and taking a lot of